Hi, Morgan from Young People Cornwall again. So we've introduced graded exposure and habituation for panic or specific phobias. We've looked at the 4 conditions: graded, prolonged, repeated and without distraction. And we've looked at what graded means. Okay, so now we're going to have a quick look at how prolonging the situation and repeating it can reduce your anxiety levels. And to do that, we're going to look at a graph. So, those who don't like maths, sorry about that one. So, we have got a graph. What do we need for that? Axes, okay. So down this side, we have got the levels of anxiety, and across the bottom, time. Right, so if we're thinking about exposing ourselves to something that induces anxiety, so if it's a phobia, maybe you're scared of spiders, you might be absolutely petrified, sends your anxiety right up, so you avoid it. It may be social situations, so rather than go there because it makes you feel bad, you avoid it, or if you do go and you feel bad, you turn around and leave. So let's see what happens. Levels of anxiety, so whatever the situation is, sends our anxiety right up, okay? What happens to your anxiety when you leave? It comes back down fairly quick, okay? So, and that makes sense really, because why do you want to be in a situation that scares you, makes you feel bad, makes you feel worried, or makes you panic? Alright? The problem with this is, what happens the next time you find yourself in the same situation? Your anxiety goes up. You get the raised heart rate, the breathing, sweatiness, butterflies, whatever it may be. So you leave. Your anxiety comes back down. Again, you've relieved the distress, and that's fine for short term, but you find yourself in that situation again. Anxiety goes straight up. You feel uncomfortable, makes you scared, makes you worried for whatever reason. You leave, anxiety goes back down. What's going to happen if you're in the situation again? Can you see the pattern? Yep, okay. So, what happens then, here's a question for you. What happens if you're in the situation and you can't leave? Does your anxiety keep going up? No, is the simple answer, because it can't. Because what's driving the anxiety is adrenaline, and there's only so much adrenaline your body can produce. So if you don't leave the situation, it can only reach a certain level. Okay, it can't keep going. It will reach a certain level. So this is where prolonging the experience comes in. So we're in the same experience as before. It goes up. But we're not going to leave this time. We're going to stay. We've already figured out you can't get any more anxiety, you can't get any more adrenaline. So what happens? You stay worried for a bit, okay? But then, all of this is happening because your brain's response to a perceived threat. Okay, it thinks something bad's going to happen. What happens if you stay there and nothing bad happens? Your brain goes, oh, hold on a minute. Perhaps it's not as bad as I first thought. Okay? And that can take a little while. But obviously, we're still at a really high level of anxiety. So what happens if we do it again? Repeating it. Goes up, not quite as steep. Doesn't go up quite as high. Comes down again. We repeat it again. what happens? Not quite as steep, not quite as high, comes down again. Here we go. What happens if we do it again? The same, and so on, until it reaches a more manageable level. Okay? And then we say, right, well, okay, let's remember the graded, the ladder really that we started with. Obviously, you're not going to go into the highest level of the ladder, we've spoken about that, but a level that you can manage at, maybe. Keep doing it until you start to feel a bit better in a certain situation, and then move on to the next step. And obviously that's going to be really personal to you, because everybody's different and they might experience this in different ways. So it can be done for phobia, like being scared of spiders, heights, whatever it may be. And it can be done for situations where you might experience panic and want to leave the situation, you want to avoid it. So some people might find supermarkets or busy places distressing. So you might say, right, well, okay, let's start with somewhere a little less busy, but still enough to challenge you a little bit. Go in, rather than leave straight away, try and stay there for a little bit, or as long as you can, before you leave. And keep doing it, keep repeating it, until gradually the anxiety becomes more manageable. One thing I will say, will there ever be no anxiety? No adrenaline? No, that's not going to happen, because that's normal. There is a certain level to be associated with certain things, okay? When it becomes a problem is when it gets really high and stops you from doing things. So I hope that helps, hope it makes sense. See you in the next video. Cheers! How do I stop it?